My name is JP Hornick, and I'm the president of OPSU-CEFPO. OPSU-CEFPO represents more than 200,000 public sector workers across Ontario, including thousands of workers in community and social services who support some of the most vulnerable people in the province. They work as social workers, developmental service workers, mental health professionals, child and youth workers, and frontline staff in community agencies across Ontario. They aren't in it for these jobs for the money. They do them because they care. But caring doesn't pay the bills. And it's time for this government to stop taking advantage of their dedication and commitment to their communities. These workers deserve a living wage, and the people they support deserve access to high-quality services, whether that's mental health care, dignified supportive housing, or autism supports for kids. Workers are reaching a breaking point. Underfunding is pushing these vital services our communities need to the brink. Agencies are trying to keep up while the demand grows and workers are shouldering the brunt of keeping services running, facing burnout and understaffing. They are working multiple jobs to make ends meet, even bumping into families they work with at food banks. Premier Ford says his heart goes out to these workers, yet he continues to rob them of what they're owed. Stolen wages from his unjust and unconstitutional Ontario Bill 124 have only made things worse. It capped public sector workers' wages at a time of crushing inflation and in turn cheated our communities of care. When the legislation was deemed unconstitutional for a second time more than 2 years ago, I stood right here and called on the Premier to do two things: accept that the legislation was wrong and repeal it, and to make it right, to pay workers what they are owed. While he did the first, he failed at the second. While many public sector workers received retroactive wage increases, including workers in colleges and hospitals, in the Ontario Public Service, thousands are still waiting. They deserve to recover the wages that were taken from them. Our communities need and deserve these services to be adequately funded. Right now, thousands of OPSU-CEFPO members in the Worth Fighting For campaign are taking a historic stand, not just for wage justice, but for the future of the services and the care that they provide. On Friday, 27 bargaining units across this campaign, across Ontario, filed for no board reports. That started the countdown toward a possible province-wide strike. These are workers in cities and rural communities alike. They support people with addictions. They help individuals and families access mental health care. They support adults with developmental disabilities to live with dignity in their communities. Our workers know how critical these services are. They see the impact of underfunding every single day in the growing wait lists, in the rising caseloads, and impossible choices that they have to make on the front lines. But here's the reality. These employers cannot deliver the retroactive wage increases alone. These workers have been at the bargaining table with their employers, and they've told them as much, that the funding just isn't there. It's on Ford to make this right. Today, you're going to hear directly from the workers who are prepared to take strike action within weeks if this government does not step in with funding now. So hear me when I say this. They do not take this lightly. These are workers who are fighting for each other, the people they support, and the future of their services. The Ford government has had multiple opportunities to act, and they still can. The government makes choices every day about where to invest. The Premier can choose to invest a fraction of what he has his eye on for vanity projects and private jets to stabilize these services and support the workers who deliver them. That's what our communities need. They need quality services, not planes, not mega spas, not tunnels under the 401. Now is the time to be accountable to workers, to the people of Ontario, to the people that we support, and to the communities across this province. because this work touches every single one of us. Workers, communities, the services we rely on, these are things worth fighting for. I'm going to pass it over to Alex, who's going to share more of her experience as a worker and a member on the campaign. Alex?
Thank you. My name is Alex. I'm a developmental services worker supporting adults with developmental disabilities in Norfolk County. I'm part of OPSU Local 204, and we're part of the Worth Fighting For campaign alongside thousands of others because we know that fair wages and sustained funding are critical to quality care and support. As a developmental services worker, I support adults with developmental disabilities to live independently and experience authentic inclusion in their community. I love this work. I see the difference it makes every day. This work matters because it's about real lives, about people having control, belonging, and opportunity. Developmental support workers aren't just providing services. Every day, we're trying to build a society that leaves no one behind. But I also see how great the need is and how we are struggling to meet demand in this moment. Right now, tens of thousands of adults with developmental disabilities are on wait lists for residential supports, supported independent living, caregiving respite, community outreach service, employment supports, and many other forms of support. The reality is that we don't have the funding to meet that need. We can see the system is in crisis and failing. We see loved ones asking for support, but the services aren't there. And for the spaces that we have, understaffing, burnout, and retention are real issues. We are being asked to do more with less, while supporting people with increasingly complex needs. When we turn to other services, like addictions or mental health support, affordable and accessible services aren't there either. As JP said, in this line of work, many of us work multiple part-time jobs to make ends meet. I work in 3 positions to make up full-time hours, and many of my colleagues and I are not able to access the same benefits and entitlements as full-time workers, always feeling very vulnerable and precarious. I've experienced firsthand what this precarity can lead to. In my career, I've had my hours cut unexpectedly and been forced to couch surf after losing my housing. I've seen my colleagues make hard choices, choosing between bills and groceries, skipping dental care or mental health care because of cost, selling their belongings to cover an emergency expense, or taking on increasing anxiety-provoking debt. When we are stuck in this precarious work and not valued, how can we preserve our high level of care for the people that we support? Funding for services and wages means that we can keep these services stable. It means trained workers can stay in these jobs and that the care is there when people need it. This is work where continuity of care and the relationships we have with people can mean everything. I want to see an Ontario that invests in helping people with disabilities live with dignity and belong to their communities. I want to see options that allow people with disabilities to thrive, whether they need more supportive housing or can live more independently. They matter and they are worth fighting for. We hear MPPs and Premier Ford speak about how important and challenging our work is, but we need more than lip service. We urge this government to come to the table now and deliver funding to avert a strike. Without action, we are ready to take a stand, not just for stolen wages, but for the future of our services. Thank you. I'll invite Chelsea to come speak.
No. Okay, I'm fine. Good morning. My name is Chelsea, and I'm a nurse working in mental health and addictions. I'm here representing frontline workers across Ontario. For nurses like myself, working in community agencies impacted by chronic underfunding and Bill 124, we see every day how far mental health and addiction workers have been left behind. But despite the challenges, we stay. We stay because we care deeply. We do not go into this field to be rich. We go into it because we care about people. I care about my clients. I care about my coworkers. I care about the lowest paid worker in our field because nobody working full-time in healthcare should be making less than a living wage. A living wage is not a luxury. It's keeping the lights on. It's feeding your family. It's being able to afford the gas to get to work. Yesterday, I stood in a room full of nurses while wages were counted down. Nurses sat down one by one. My coworker and I stayed standing. That moment showed exactly how far mental health and addiction workers have been left behind. Meanwhile, the people making decisions for frontline workers have the luxury of flying in a private plane, while healthcare staff are wondering if they can afford the drive to work tomorrow. That is the disconnect. And while frontline workers are being told there is no money, Ontarians are watching where priorities are going. We know there's money. We watch money go toward things like buck a beer, while mental health and addiction services continued to be underfunded. You made alcohol more accessible, but you don't want to support the consequences of those actions. We are the ones dealing with those consequences every single day. We also watch the cuts to OSAP, making it harder for people to afford school at a time when healthcare desperately needs workers. I'm a full-time student while working in this field. I continue to pursue this profession and upgrade my education, not because of money, but because I believe in this work enough to fight for it. If not for me, then for my coworkers, for the nurses beside me, and for the people who will come after us. But with the rising costs and cuts to education and supports, fewer people will be able to enter this field, and that should scare all of us. During the pandemic, while many people stayed home to protect themselves and their families, healthcare workers showed up. We went to work every single day. We put ourselves and our families at risk. Our wages were capped under Bill 124, a law that was later found to be unconstitutional, not once, but twice. And the government already knew it was wrong, because some healthcare workers have since been paid back. It made the headlines. People thought the problem was done, or the problem was fixed. But many of us in mental health and addictions were left behind, along with thousands of other care and support workers. We are still trying to catch up from years of being held back while the cost of living kept rising around us. This fight is about getting back what was taken from us, that is owed to us. The pandemic may feel like it was years ago to some, but we are still living with the consequences of those decisions today. We are stretched beyond capacity. Turnover is high. Burnout is not the exception in healthcare, it's becoming the expectation. Recently, one of the speakers at a conference talked about supporting first responders after traumatic calls. They asked a simple question. Would you want a paramedic with a broken arm showing up to care for you? Burnout is the same thing. We are broken. And we are being told to fix a collapsing system with Band-Aids while people are bleeding out. There are only so many Band-Aids you can use before they stop working. The people taking care of you and your loved ones should not be this exhausted. That is not safe care. Premier Doug Ford, this is what those decisions look like on the front line. It looks like experienced healthcare workers leaving the field because they cannot afford to stay. It looks like staff crying in their cars before work and still walking in to take care of others. It looks like workers giving every part of themselves to keep a broken system standing. This strike is not because we do not care. It's because we care too much. We push ourselves past what is healthy to make sure our clients are okay, even when we're not. Mental health and addiction will touch every family, every community, and at some point, someone you love. And when that moment comes, you're going to want these services to be there. We will be there, as long as we have the support and funding to keep going. We advocate for our clients every single day. Now we are asking to be able to advocate for ourselves too. We are strong people. We do this work every day, and we're not backing down. I'll now pass it over to Patricia.
Good morning, and a special good morning to you, Premier Doug Ford, and your caucus, as you are the reason why I'm here this morning. I'm standing before you with anxiety and nervousness and fully full of chronic body pain, but I thought all of that just to come and address you this morning because I totally believe that this matter is totally important. My name is Patricia, the last name is Crooks, and I'm a community support worker at Sisterin, an agency in Toronto, and a member of OPSU Local 540. In my role, I support the drop-in that more than 100 women and gender diverse people access every day. The work we do to support our community is critical and very crucial. We support women who are unhoused, women who have lost their jobs, women who are dealing with mental health and addiction challenges. Many of the people we support have lived through abuse and trafficking. These are some of the most vulnerable people in our community, and they rely on us. I love my job. I am proud to work at Sisterin, an agency doing so much work in our community. I love being able to make people smile in their hardest days and to provide support that helps them survive another day. I've worked with Sisterin for 10 years, in fact, over 10 years, and this work is getting harder. We are here because we care, but underfunding and low wages are making this job even harder and harder every day. We are understaffed, our staff are burned out and struggling with demands of our job. Underfunding stretches resources even thinner than they were before. Our days are often long. The work is demanding and emotionally and physically. But when the phone rings, we will be ready to pick up a shift, come in and do our best to put a smile on the faces of the people we support. That's why we're a part of this campaign and why we're ready to escalate action to secure the funding we need. This is a fight for workers and for the people we support. This is not a fight between workers and our employees. We are fighting for the funding we know we need, the funding our agency needs, for stolen wages and for the future of our services. We are constantly being forced to do more with less, and that affects the resources that valuable people in our communities access, whether that's less staffing for programs, reduced hours, or less resources. At Sisterin, we have been forced to choose when we can offer simple supplies like soap or shampoo or toothbrushes, or cut out snacks for the program. These are simple things that offer people dignity and care during difficult times. We are the underdogs, and I will say that again, we are the underdogs holding up this system. Many of us are two paychecks away from being right beside the people we support. To this government, to your government, Premier Ford, I say, we're doing work you wouldn't do. We are doing our best to uphold a crumbling system. We deserve better, and our communities deserve better as well. We call on you to step up, Premier Doug Ford. Come to the table and deliver funding for stolen wages and services. You can make this right. Thank you.